woman to make a man get right. You're my world. You keep my mind spinning all through the night. You're my life.
Yo, yo, yo.
Hey, welcome to the Jalen and Cacie show.
What's up, everybody? I'm not even ready. I'm with my mic. There we go.
You're not even
I'm
ready.
Good.
You're not
good.
ready.
I'm ready. So we are live here on YouTube for Jalen Cacie show. That's where we look over there. And we also have Instagram running just to let everybody know.
It's
about
only
the
for
show.
a moment or so because we forgot to post about the fact that
we
are
going
live. So let you know, guys,
pushing it to the
we
minute.
are live right now. So if you
yes.
want to join the live, go over to our bio and click the link there, our YouTube link, and it will take you to the live.
Yep.
But we're going to be here for a few seconds because we're about to really get into it
show.
On YouTube. So if you want to join the live on YouTube, it's a good one today.
Yeah.
And go to the link in our bio, click the link, and you will join us.
Link in bio, Jalen
there.
Cacie show live on our YouTube channel. So yeah.
Probably wondering why I ain't wearing this crown.
Come tune in to find out. Well, welcome to the show, guys. Everyone here on YouTube, welcome to the Jalen and Cacie show, where we teach you how to discover your purpose, master your relationships, and live the blessed life.
The blessed life.
We're live pretty much every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Let us know where in the world you are watching from. Drop that comment in the chat because we love to know where everyone's watching from and what time it is.
Hey, everyone that's joining us right now on Instagram. We're only here for a few more moments.
Yep.
But we're live right now on YouTube. But we forgot to announce it on Instagram. So that's why we came up here live. Yep. So if you want to join the live, go to the link in our bio and hit the YouTube link, and it will take you to our live. So we're only going to be here for another moment or two, and then we're going to completely go on YouTube here.
Yeah. And if you're watching here on YouTube, if you have a question, leave a question in the comments. We can answer it at the end of the show in our question and answer segment. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you leave a comment for that. Leave us any question you like. It could be about us. It could be about anything you want to talk about, and we'll try to answer it at the end of the show. We've got Michaela in the chat saying, hey, Michaela.
Hey, Michaela.
So we're going to have some fun. And Michaela, why don't you do me a favor since you're in there? Can you leave a comment down there saying, anybody got any questions? Leave a comment. I don't feel like trying to type it right now.
Can you be our moderator for like 5 minutes?
Seconds. Thank you.
All right. So again, we're about to log off, but if you want to join the live, because we're live right now on YouTube, hit the link in our bio and join us live, and you get to see why I'm wearing this crown today. So join us live right now on YouTube. Bye.
See you guys.
See you guys on YouTube.
Tune in. Hit the link in the bio. Join us on YouTube. But shout out to Michaela and Denzel for a photo shoot they did for us this past weekend.
I cannot wait
to see those pictures.
To see those photos because we have not had can you do this for me?
Yeah, I got you.
We have not had a professional photo shoot in 4 years. 4 years, right before we had JJ. And it's funny because the intro picture that you see for the live when we come on, that was the last photo shoot that we did.
Yes.
And I was pregnant with JJ, and I didn't know I was pregnant with JJ. I found out like a week later after that shoot. And it's funny because in that particular shoot, I had to get back into my wedding gown, and that was probably the third time I had my wedding gown on since being married, and I knew I could fit the gown. And I remember you trying to zip me up in that dress, and I'm like, why am I so bloated? Like extra bloated. Now, girls, you know that time of the month we get a little bloated, but it was like extra. And I can remember my sister-in-law, which is the photographer, she was like, maybe you're pregnant, and joking. I'm like, girl, no. Laughed it off. But she was right. I was preggo. And that was the last time we had a legit photo shoot. So it's definitely time for an update. Also, we did a family photo shoot also this weekend. And that was fun. Those should be really cute. JJ was cute. He was JJ. If you know JJ, if I say he's JJ, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Michaela said, how did I end up doing the same thing I was doing, but now for free? Thank you, Michaela. We appreciate it.
We love you, girl.
Oh, my God.
It's the anointing you have in your life.
Okay, now, what were we talking about? Let's get into the show. As long as you're taking to get into the show. But that's all good. All right, so today's we're going to get into story time here in a second. It's going to be a little different, and that's why Cacie wearing a crown, because this week is birthday week.
We should have had a birthday song cue.
Babe, I just made all these graphics, all these new sounds. I've been working hard.
I know you have, babe. You've been working really hard. I appreciate it. Yeah. You've been doing a really good job. You really have been doing a good job. I'm proud of you. But it would have been so nice to have a little birthday graphic, happy birthday, But anyway, Thursday is my official birthday.
Yep.
But, the celebration starts early. To be honest with you, I feel like leading up to my birthday this year, I've been really kind of low-key, only because I've been so busy doing other things. Yeah. And I feel good about that. Like, we've been very productive this year and getting things done and following what we believe God is telling us to do. So I'm really proud of that, and I'm excited about it. So this birthday is going to be fun. I think the older you get, you just start valuing things a little bit different in your life. And for me, it's having stability. Yeah. Both spiritually and naturally. I'm enjoying the time of life we're in right now, and how God is blessing and how He's moving in our marriage, in our finances, in our ministry, and all those things. So I'm really, really happy about those things. So I really am blessed. Yep. And just kind of like reminiscing on past birthdays and thinking the different eras of my life and where I was mentally, where I was spiritually, and the things that I was trying to reach for versus where I'm at now. I know I've definitely matured, and it feels good to be mature. It really, really does.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right, so today the entire episode isn't birthday themed. We do have a topic for today's episode, but the story time is birthday themed. So let's get into it with the story time. All right. So for this week's story time, we're going to talk about your favorite birthday gifts.
Okay, so when you told me this was a question, I am still struggling to figure out what is my favorite birthday gift of all times. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. It's really hard to say. I think actually it might be the one I got today. I got a surprise from you. This week you said, you're going to surprise me this week, and I'm really hard to surprise. If you know me, I'm very hard to surprise, but this one really got me.
It's not that you're hard to surprise and something that you didn't know about. It's just hard to make sure that's something that you actually wanted. Well, it's not hard for me because I know what you want now, but for the average person, it's
apparently people perceive that I'm very persnickety. I don't know where they get that from, but I like what I like. I'm not a gaudy person or over the top person, but it depends on what it is though. But I am very particular. But long story short, I have been talking about this particular gift for a while. I have a car. My car's paid for. Thank you, Jesus. Probably the best gift of all things. And it's a nice car. I like my car. But, it's a 2015. And I wanted some upgrades on my car. So I've been talking about getting Android Auto for my car for a while. I've been pricing it. And it's like, I want to get that installed for my car. So last night, you said, okay, you get your first birthday surprise on tomorrow being today. And he's like, I got you Android Auto for your car, and my friend is coming to install it for you. I'm like, what? And it's not very easy to shock me. But I was shocked. And I was excited. So now I'm fancy now. Still playing with it. It's really, really cool. I love it. So thank you.
You're welcome. My favorite gift that I've gotten you for your birthday, there's two of them. I'll tell two stories. The very first one was the very first birthday gift I've gotten you when we were not even engaged yet, but
engaged in heart.
We're betrothed. Our relationship had begun. And I decided to get you something, and I remember telling your dad that I was getting it for you. And he was like, okay. He said, well, you're beating me to it because if you didn't do it, I was going to get it for her because he knew that you wanted it. And this is back when you were still doing like not travel makeup, I guess, but you were doing makeup.
We're traveling.
Yeah, because you would do people's weddings like that. And so you wanted this bag from a company called Zuka. I think I'm saying it right.
Yes.
And it was a cool bag, and it wasn't expensive, but it had a price tag.
It wasn't cheap for what it was.
And
it is.
I spent that money on you. I just started working. I dropped some
Okay.
shade on that, man. I gotta think about it.
Well, listen. Okay.
I'll make an early investment.
No, that bag was a $300 bag. It might have been like $350 to be honest. It was I think it was like $350. So that was a big chunk of change for someone who just got a job.
$10 an hour job.
How much?
$10 an hour.
$10 an hour.
That's okay.
Oh, we were broke.
I'll make a little more by the time we get married, but not much.
Still though, that's
Pre-inflation, but not that pre-inflation.
wow. Yeah, that was a stretch.
Yep.
That was a stretch.
But I got you that bag, and
I still have it too.
yeah. But I came to your house because you live with your parents. I came to your house, and was your dad standing there?
I think so. Yeah.
And so I had got you I think I got you some roses. I got you like a little. Was it a dog or a bear? It was some kind of stuffed animal, I think. Can I get you 3 gifts? I got you the roses, the little stuffed animal, and the last thing I gave you was the bag. And you were real surprised and shocked and everything like that. You're so happy. And your dad permitted you to give me a hug. He was like, "You can give him a hug." That was so funny. Y'all
have no idea. Y'all have no idea.
Oh my gosh, it was funny. So that gift. Then one that always sticks in my head. It's just really sweet to me. A very low key gift I got you. We were married. I don't know which birthday this was. We were in the apartment, and this was back when you were cooking me breakfast every morning if I went to work. So you would get up early, which you didn't like getting up that early, but because I got to work early. Cause I used to open a store back then, so I was the first person there. I used to be like the first person.
You was
on the
a
counter.
scrub back in the day. Look at you, boo.
So. Not the opening a store makes you a scrub, but I
no. Wait,
do that.
Okay, you have to understand.
Okay, but anyway, so you had to get up early to cook me breakfast every morning, but I always give you Fridays off. So you're gonna do it on Fridays, and so
you gotta clarify that he gave me Fridays off. I know somebody listening like, what you mean?
That actually leans into what we're talking about today. Actually, the whole culture thing. Yeah,
we came to a compromise because he was like. I told him, I said, I don't mind cooking, but I don't want to cook every day. And I asked you, what did you need from me? And he was like, I really would appreciate it if you would cook me breakfast every morning before I go to work. And I'm like, okay, I can do that, but I need to have Fridays off.
I think I offered that. I don't know if you asked for it.
I think I said, I want Fridays off.
Okay. Well, yeah. But we're going to talk about that actually, because that actually kind of leads to the whole culture thing, which is the topic of today's episode. But to finish the story. But you have been talking that year, leading up to your birthday, you have been talking about a game that you used to play with your brother.
Oh,
remember?
yeah.
And it was a PlayStation game, the first PlayStation, called Parappa the Rapper.
That was my game.
Parappa the Rapper. And I remember that game.
I remember that game. I love that game.
You were talking about
I need to put that out.
And I think you were looking for it because it had gotten to the point where
because it was an old game.
But it cost money again. Like even though it was an old game, it became rare to find it. And I had to go to like a retro game store, I think to get it. And I ended up paying for it, but you might pay for it current day full price.
Yeah,
game.
It was like $50-$60.
So
like that.
I ended up getting it, and I surprised you with it. So what I did was I hooked up the old PlayStation. We had a PlayStation. I plugged it in. I had it on the title screen, and I was letting it play. But it was a Friday. So I woke you up to say, hey, I didn't want to tell you what I was doing. I said, hey, babe, come on, I need you to get up. And you just assumed that I was waking you up because you had overslept. You're supposed to cook me breakfast. So you didn't catch that it was a Friday, which your birthday was a Friday. And so I woke you up and you immediately put your robe on. You were like, oh, okay, let me get up to cook you breakfast and everything like that. And it was perfect that you thought it was, that you didn't realize it was a Friday.
And I came out
and you came out and you saw it and then you immediately woke up because you was half asleep, your eyes were closed and you were just so happy. And it was just a sweet moment. And it was
I remember that.
Yeah.
Because you had to use an old PlayStation to even play that game back then.
Yeah. It was PlayStation 1, the first PlayStation. Yeah. So we had that. I just had to get the game.
Yeah, I remember that. And the cards and the game was out. Sprawled out on the floor. It was cute.
Yeah.
You know, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. I enjoyed
I forget that one.
No, I don't know. I mean,
I need to find that game. I need to find that game. Play again.
Closet probably right there.
You got some comments?
No, they're laughing about the scrub comment.
Oh, bruh. Those were the scrub days.
Hello to S Interpretations. How you doing?
Hello.
Welcome to the stream. You got any questions? Leave it in chat. We'll answer it at the end of the show. question about anything. But yes, that was our story. So that was our story time today. In celebration of your birthday this year coming up.
Happy birthday,
Casey,
to
happy birthday.
Me. Happy birthday.
All right, so let's get into the topic of the week. All right, so what do I hear, JJ? Is he good?
Oh well, y'all, I have my son on camera.
Is he still
Where
good?
did
He might be coming for us.
he might be coming for us?
All right, if that's the case, then we have a new We'll Be Right Back.
Wait a minute.
You see him? You good?
I
We're waiting
don't
to see
see
what our
him.
son is doing. He's moving around then. Well, he'll come knocking. If we
Parent
disappear,
life.
If we disappear, that means we have a We'll Be Right Back button right here. So we hit that. That means we're going on a short interlude until we make sure our son's good. Make sure he's good.
Oh, there he
Yeah,
is.
no.
There
Oh,
he
you
is.
good? All right,
Yeah,
you got it.
there he-
Cool.
What did he get?
Did he grab something? He grabbed a snack.
That boy living his best life right
Yeah,
now.
He loves Tuesdays evenings because he can do whatever he wants. But all right, so we're good. All right, so main topic of the week. All right, so today we're talking about creating a culture or a new culture.
A
in your
marriage culture.
Because you touched on this in last week's episode. We were talking about filters, and I really wanted to get deep into it because we didn't have a chance to stop and talk about it. But you kind of touched on it a little bit. So I want to talk about that today. And what we mean by creating culture in your marriage is when two people get together, they have cultures that they bring with them, right? So you have things that it all come back to the way you were raised, household you grew up in, instilled to you by your parents, your community, all of that, and that's your culture. And you're not even necessarily conscious of it. It's just the way you do business.
Yeah.
And so when you come into marriage, typically what you're doing is you're bringing your culture with you, and so you have two people with two cultures, and those cultures will always clash.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
always going to be
definitely.
something different. And one thing I say to people is, if you have a sibling that you were raised in the house with, do y'all agree on everything? Do y'all share the same opinion? Do you have the same worldview? Do y'all even get along? And even if you get along, you are still very different from your sibling. And so if that can happen with someone who lives in the same house with you, had the same parents, grew up the same way, then it's only logical that when you marry somebody that grew up in a different household, y'all are going to have differences of opinion and perspective. So you shouldn't be surprised that you have conflict. You shouldn't be surprised that y'all get annoyed with each other. You shouldn't be surprised that you don't agree on everything. And sometimes I think people really get freaked out by disagreement in marriage and conflict, and they think it's a sign of like, oh, this is a bad marriage or married the wrong person. But it's like, why wouldn't you expect that? You're literally trying to bring two people together who are so very different.
Yeah, and I think you and I, we learned that very early on, and we wanted to develop our own culture for our marriage, our own language, based off of what we believe God was leading us into. And we took the good that we saw our parents have in their relationships, but even those things, we didn't want to be a carbon copy of them. You know, we had to find our own marriage personality, for lack of a better term. And that takes, again, submission to the word, being willing to give of yourself, and communication.
Yes.
Lots and lots of communication. We're so big and heavy on communication. I know it sounds repetitive, but communication literally is the core, it's the blood of your relationship. And that's how it's going to thrive when you have healthy communication between each other. But, you know, we kind of laugh and reflect on the things that, well, let me back up a little bit. Sometimes in relationships, you have these unspoken expectations from each other because of the culture you was raised in. And, you know, some men have an expectation of their wives, and wives have expectation of their husbands based off of the man or woman in their life, their mother, their grandmother, whoever they were raised by. They have these expectations. And unfortunately, a lot of those things get they're not spoken
for sure.
prior to marriage. Just like the cooking situation. You know, I can remember us sitting down and talking about that before we got married. It's like, look, I am not overly domesticated. Now, I grew up in a...
Like, you got a dog, right? You said domesticated.
I did. But here, okay, let me try to dissect this a little bit to make it make sense. Okay. I grew up in a home. It was majority women. You know, I have a younger brother and my dad. And my mom, she was definitely of the era of the woman ran the house. and she served my father, and she cooked and she cleaned. And once we got old enough, we started handling some of the responsibility, cleaning, helping her, things like that. But she still did the majority of all those things. But she taught us girls, especially, this is what women do. You gotta know how to cook. You gotta know how to clean. You gotta know how to serve, things like that. And I still believe that's true. I believe it's definitely value to having those things. But my father, Daddy, I love you. He's in heaven living his best life. But I never saw my father do anything domestic and within the household. Now, he would cut the grass, take out the garbage, those types of things. But never cook. The one time, maybe 2 times I saw my dad cook something, it blew my mind. I didn't even know my dad knew what the kitchen was. Like, seriously, I did not even know this. And I remember, I don't know what my mom was doing, why she wasn't even home, but he washed dishes one time. And I can remember standing in the kitchen looking at my dad like, I didn't even know you knew how to do this. And he broke a cup. And he told me, don't tell your mom I broke this cup. But that's not how my family grew up. Like, my dad, he got served, and not in a slave way, we weren't like bowing down like that, but it was, my mom served him his food, he brought him his tray, that kind of stuff. So that was very normal to me. And I was raised to believe that that's what you do as a wife. And so when I encountered your family, it was very opposite from that. Your daddy fixed his own plate, sometimes cooked. And I was like, wow.
My dad could cook.
This is strange. What?
And there was no differentiation of gender in my household on tasks because it was just me and my brother. So we learned how to cook and clean just like anything else.
Which I'm grateful for.
Now my mom did cook a majority of the meals growing up. And she would cook for me, my brother, and my dad, and everything like that. And so that wasn't unfamiliar to me. But when we were older, both my parents were working outside the home for a period of time when we were in teenagers, things like that. So for a while there, me and my brother would cook for ourselves. Like my brother cooked for me, I cooked for him. We would cook together. Our meals might be breakfast, lunch, whatever. And sometimes we just have fun doing that. So that dynamic was very different. And there was no dynamic of, okay, the woman does this and the man does this, really, in my household. And my parents were raised very differently.
Because my brother, I love my brother. Now, he's a great husband. He got married before we did, a year before we did, and he's a great husband. But growing up in the house, my brother did no cooking at all. Zero cooking. And I joke about it now, but zero. And I'd be, my mom would cook for him and for my dad, and I'd be like, Mom, you don't cook for me? She's like, you know how to cook? Or it'll be like, well, you should have told me you want me to cook you something. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? But my brother did not cook meals. Like, growing up, my sisters and we had a scheduled day out of the week where we had to cook dinner for the family. And that's how I grew up. And then we would have chores. We had to clean the kitchen. We had to do those things. We had to prep. Listen, y'all, we had to plan our meals like a week ahead of time because that's how Dad and Mom was going to buy the groceries based off of the list we would give them. What days I had to cook? I think I had to cook on, I had Tuesdays, Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah, 2 days.
I had 2 days out of the week. My young sister only had 1 day out of the week. That's a story. But me and my older sister had 2 days out of the week that we would cook. My younger sister had 1 day, and my mom, she would do the weekends because Daddy would make sure he had a really good meal on the weekends now. But yeah. But
I think as you got older and you had a career, things like that, you began to resent to a certain degree having to do that so much. So by the time I got a hold of you, you were like, look.
Yeah, because listen, Linda and Leroy, listen to me. At some point, I don't mind the training. I don't mind the fact I'm thankful that I learned how to do those things, right? But not to try to go into my whole family history, because it's just that I live with big people, grown people, and it's like, I'm not cooking for you anymore. You can cook for yourself, clean for yourself. I'm not doing this for you. I want to live my life the way I want to.
It wasn't like you were just cooking for dad, you cooked for the whole family.
Yes.
Yeah. So by the time
and we had 6 people in the house.
So by the time we got together, we had conversations about this, and you were like, I just don't want to be a slave in the kitchen.
I was burnt out.
You're traumatized a little bit. And I was like, look, I don't have crazy expectations for you. I mean, I was like, look, I mean, I don't remember what all the conversations were, but just talking about it now, I was like, I have some cooking ability. If we're depending on me, we're not going to eat much, but we settled into, yes, you're going to do the predominant cooking. You do the predominant cooking now. You just didn't really, one thing was, I know you made a sacrifice when I asked you to cook me breakfast that season of life, but I really wanted to have breakfast, and I knew if I had to focus on that while getting ready for work and my prayer time and all stuff like that, I couldn't juggle everything. And so I was like, if I'm going to eat breakfast, I need you to cook it for me. And so we decided Monday through Thursday you do that. You did that for a very long period of time.
And you know what? I don't mind those things. For me, it was, I didn't want you to be helpless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, if I cook the meals, if I prep all that stuff, like, come fix your plate. Yeah. You know, or go put your plate in the sink. You know, but I didn't want to feel like it was a demand, or else this is a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a deal breaker in our relationship. I didn't want it to feel like that.
Well, you didn't get much conflict from me because that wasn't what I grew up in, what I was raised. Like I did everything for myself pretty much. Like I said, my mom would cook, but you know, we'd get our own stuff and all that. So I didn't really do that. Someone else, if you had married someone else, that might have been a deal breaker. Let's take a quick break for comments. Let's see. S Inspiration says that her dad was a cook in her family.
Okay.
I'm assuming you're a woman. I could be wrong. S interpretations. Forgive me if you're a man. Just let me know. Michaela said, we all cooked in my house too. We cooked with a sibling. Me and Josiah chewed it down. Okay. Oh goodness. So wait. So who was that? Was it Trevor doing the cooking then? You said me and Josiah chewed it down. Or you said we all cooked. We all cooked.
Yeah, they all cooked.
But okay. So anyway, but yeah. So that was just our dynamic. But because we grew up in different, so we didn't really conflict there. We didn't really clash there too much. We were able to pretty much settle in pretty easy. But I remember reading a story once. It was a marriage book we read a while back, and it was basically about those cultures clashing because there was a man and his wife, and they had a newborn, and he would always get home from work.
Chef, that was she.
Chefed it down.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Cool. And they were fairly new married, had a newborn. He would always come home, and the baby wouldn't be clean, just messy. House was messy, stuff like that. And I guess she was cooking and things like that. But they were always having the conflicts. He was like, why is the baby a mess? Why is everything in shambles? Blah, blah, blah. And she was just saying that she was overwhelmed. And so they went to counseling, and the counselor's the one who wrote the book. He was like, what's the problem? And he was talking to both of them, but I think at one point he talked to the husband alone. He was like, why are you so stuck on it being a certain way when you get home? He was like, well, when I grew up, my dad was the one working, and my mom did everything at home, and that's what I saw, so I thought that's the way it should be. And he said, okay, and that's fine, and that was great for your parents. He's like, but you're not your parents. Did it ever occur to you that you could do something different and it would be a problem? And he was like, no, I never did consider it. He was like, okay, so what is your wife asking? Well, she's asked for help. Why don't you help her? He was like, I guess I could. And so now when he came home, he would help her with certain things, and then there was no more conflict.
Yeah.
It's not that he minded. He was just so stuck on it had to be this way.
Yeah.
And the only reason it was his parents. And that was it.
I don't like it because we talked to couples that had that same mentality. It was like, well, this is the way my mama did, this way my daddy did it. And it's like they didn't have any room for a bend or a change. Like, you're not them.
Yeah.
You know, why do you need to be like them? What does that say to you? And when you didn't marry your mama and you didn't marry your daddy, so you can't make them be your mama or your daddy. You married your partner. You married your covenant spouse. Yeah. You know, this is not your parent. And you shouldn't want your spouse to parent you. You know, I mean? Sometimes men want their wives to be mothering to them. And that's an icky spot sometimes for women. Now, again, I don't mind serving you. In marriage, it's service. Marriage is service. Yeah. You know, we serve each other. I don't mind doing those things. But you got to find your language and your way and be in agreement about how those things are executed, because it could be conflicting. And if your spouse needs help, sometimes we can look at a person and say, oh, they're lazy or whatever, but it might be something else going on with them internally. They might be having some, like you said, they might be overwhelmed. They might be dealing with depression. It might be just dealing with a whole lot of stuff that we might perceive as them being lazy or whatever, but they might need help with organization. They might need help with learning how to do certain things. It could be a lot of things. Some people are bad at organization. Now, you can learn how to be organized if you want to, but some people are just bad with organization, so they get overwhelmed very quickly because everything is piling up on them.
Like, for example, let's talk about right now. You were just doing the live stream at the beginning of the show for Instagram. And when you shut it off, you looked at the phone for a couple seconds and then you handed it to me.
Because I know.
And I took it without a problem and I did. And I don't know if I was expecting it, but as soon as you handed it to me, I wasn't surprised. Because when there's a lot going on and you got multiple input from everywhere, I don't do well. you can
shut down.
Lockup mode. Like your computer freezes because too much going on, too many windows open. When you got too many windows open, you'll shut down. And you knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So you handed me the phone and I immediately took care of it because I can handle that multitasking better than you can.
Yeah.
And so that's just Elaine. That's what we're talking about culture. That you here's the, so I'm gonna talk about several. I don't know how many C's I have, but I have multiple C's while we've been talking that have come to me of the C's of developing your new culture in your marriage. So the first,
take notes, everybody. This is gonna be good.
So the first C is common sense, and that kind of goes into that. Here's my thing when I tell people, when people talk about gender roles and, well, who should do this in the house and who should do that in the house. Here's my thing. Common sense. Stuff has to get done.
Yep.
The house got to be clean. The house got to cook. The food got to be cooked. People got to eat. Children been taken care of. Children need to be watched and trained and disciplined and raised. Money needs to come into the house. Bills have to be paid. So when you're looking at all that stuff, my first thing I always say is, well, common sense says it has to get done. So why don't you pick the people that are best at it?
Right.
Whoever handles the money the best, let them handle the money. Why the man should handle the money? Okay, are you good with numbers? Are you good at paying bills on time? If not, then your wife needs to handle the money. Or if y'all both y'all can do it together. All right, well, the cooking. Woman's like, well, I think I'm a feminist and I don't want to be in the kitchen. Are you the best cook? Then you need to be the one cooking. Like, at the end of the day, this stuff needs to get done. And one thing we've had conversations about when developing our culture, and sometimes you talk to me about things like the way you're raised or things you never like seeing. And one thing I would say to you is, that's fine, babe, but this is our marriage. Leave everybody else's culture at the door.
Yeah.
Let's not only should we shouldn't just do things because we saw other people do it.
Yeah.
But we also shouldn't try to not do things because we didn't like what other people did it. And we don't want to look like that. It's like, look, what do we need to do to make our house run? That's what we need to do,
and
based
then
on common sense.
Don't be afraid that people are going to judge how you handle your marriage because of how they handle theirs.
Yep.
And funny story, when we was in our apartment and we had to for some reason, I think there was changing the pipeline, something like that, so we couldn't be in our apartment for a few days, so we stayed with my parents for about 3-4 days. And mom had cooked dinner and everything like that, and you had came into the kitchen, you brought your plate into the kitchen, you started washing the dish, I believe.
I brought both our plates down. You were still upstairs.
And my mom was like, what are you doing? And what did you tell her?
Well, she made a remark that she was kind of like thinking negatively of you for making me come down or letting me come down and do that. And I saw that I was like, let my wife not get in trouble. I was like, Mom, it's okay. I offered to bring them down because for me, it wasn't even a big deal. Like if you had done it, it would not have been a great act of service.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have appreciated it. Like, there is no appreciation for me if you go and do that. Like, it's just a thing that can be done. You get up, you walk, you put something in the dish, you come in the sink, you come back. There is nothing there. That is not my love language. So for me to take them down was no different from you taking them down. But for her and her culture, she was like, and I explained to her, I said, Mom, I offered to do it. It's fine. When I caught what was happening. And then I was like, and then I explained to her, I said, in my household, it was just me and my brother. We just did everything. And she was like, oh, okay. She understood. We had a kind of conversation about it, about the differences, how I was raised, how you were raised, how she was raised, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's that was funny. But that's kind of thing, like, thinking
sometimes you feel like you have to be beholding to your the culture you came from because you're afraid of judgment.
Exactly.
You're afraid. I think our parents are cool now, but it was kind of strange at the time. I remember sometimes going to the family dinner and they would see you fix your plate, and my mom would give me that look like, you need to be fixing his plate. I'm like, he all right.
Yeah.
He's fine, you know. But she's cool now with it. But it was kind of like, I didn't train you that way, that kind of thing. And again, we serve each other especially when it's needed. There's different seasons in your life, season change. So how you operate in your household may have to fluctuate depending on what season of life you're in. I can remember, we just had JJ. I need a lot of help and assistance, and you helped me in so many ways that I can't even talk about here, that I was even surprised that you were willing to get down like that, because it's a lot, to recovery. And I guess that just made our relationship even tighter, and vice versa. There've been times where I had to take on some things you was used to doing just because I saw, babe, you're tired. You do a lot, and you do a lot for our family. And I do really appreciate it. And I know where you're strong and where I'm strongest. Like, Jalen will clean the kitchen. He got trapped into
my variation of it. So that's not to your
exactly. He will clean the kitchen. I'll put it to you like this. He will do the surface stuff. He'll put dishes in dishwasher and stuff like that. But I know that he does not clean the kitchen the way I would clean the kitchen. So I will do the deep, deep clean kitchen. But I appreciate it. And at first, it was kind of annoying because you wouldn't do stuff the way I would do it. But I'm like, Cacie, why are you even mad about this? You have a man that's willing to get in the kitchen and do it. Because, again, I wasn't used to that. I never saw any of the men that I grew up with be in the kitchen in that way. So for you to do that, I thank you for that. And I just have to know, okay, if I want it a certain way, I got to do it myself. Don't complain about it. But I think we really have learned over the last 8 years our weaknesses and our strengths, and we really lean into those things.
Yeah. And that comes to communication, which is the other C.
Yeah.
So we had common sense. Other one's communication. You got to talk.
You got to talk
before marriage,
a lot.
during marriage, and things change. Whatever y'all started doing in the beginning isn't what you do now. And so there's different tasks and things that we've divided over the years that have switched off and thought, okay, I can't keep up with that now.
Yeah.
Like, things have changed now. This isn't when we first got married. Having a child is a big transition where your responsibilities and the way you divvy them up might change.
And you have to really extend grace to your spouse, especially when you have changes like children.
Yeah.
The house may not get clean the same way. Doesn't mean you have to live in a dirty home, but it may not get clean the same way. Like, I've learned I have to segment my cleaning. Today we do the bathrooms. Tomorrow we may do the laundry. At one time I might have been able to do the whole home in one swoop, because I had the time, the energy, and the focus. But now it's like, look, I can only do one corner at a time. And y'all just, help me out in that regards. But so you have to learn to really extend grace to your spouse and really sense and discern when they're overwhelmed, when they're tired, we need a break. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, look, babe, we need maids on the list. Like, I read Proverbs 31 and it says she had maids, plural. So that's my next project right there.
Yeah.
And because we do put a lot of stock in our family culture and where we come from.
Yeah. And I think, so the other thing is, another C that I wasn't thinking of until just now, but anti-C, if I put it like this, don't do comparison. Yeah. Because you compare yourself to other people. Yeah. And it's like, well, this person is a super spouse and they can do everything and they can do all this stuff. And it's like, I can't do that. Okay, that's fine. It's okay. It's okay to not be able to do everything. It's okay.
And even in that, you don't even know if what they're doing is even healthy for their relationship. You don't even know why people do what they do. So you should never try to compare yourself or imitate them in that way. Now, I believe you can glean, you can learn from a lot of people and things like that. But again, we're talking about creating your own culture, creating your own language that you both are rooted and grounded in, that you agree on, and that flows for your life. And my biggest thing is be willing to grow and to learn, grow into what you need to be for your relationship. And now you might bring some things to from your culture that's really good for your marriage that you can grow from. But there are a lot of things that we need to just ditch because it doesn't work.
Yeah, if it's not working, it's not working, you know. And that another C, that's a good C, is compromise.
Yeah.
And because if you're trying to find something that makes you happy all the time, it's not going to happen. There's some things you're going to enjoy, some things you're not going to enjoy. And you also understand seasons of life that you're in. Sometimes people get too stuck on that season of life. Like, again, having a child, something may change in the way that you guys do things. Yeah. Frequency of things may change. Like, we don't get to go to the movies as much. We don't get to go
I miss that.
But one thing that keeps me okay with that is the fact that this isn't forever. There will be a day when he is older and he can be home by himself, or he'll be in activities and doing things, and we'll have a little more free time to ourselves. So it's kind of like the compromise of, okay, because again, the common sense of this is our son, he needs to be taken care of, and we can't just leave him with other people all the time. We compromise that, okay, we do this less than we used to.
Yeah. Now,
somewhere out there, there's somebody on Instagram that's married and got a newborn, and they're out there living the best life, doing all that. I'm not going to compare myself to them. I don't know how they're able to do that. I don't know why they're able to do that. I don't know if they should be doing that. I'm not going to make any judgment whatsoever, but this is my life, and this is what we've got going on, and I'm not going to compare myself to them.
And I really think that's the detriment of the Instagram culture, social media culture, because people just share these little snapshots that we don't even know if it's real or not, but we like the aesthetic of it. So we try to emulate that and look like that and act like that without having the core reason of why they're doing what they do.
The problem is that that the aesthetic that everyone is selling is you should be able to do everything at all times and be happy.
Yeah.
Like you can be the boss person, you can make this much money and do this much work and and do this and be super mom, super dad, and nothing fall by the wayside. And if you can't, there's something wrong with you. And that's kind of the problem. So shut out all the voices and just come together with that communication, with that compromise, and with that common sense. The other C that's good is counsel. If you guys are at a roadblock of something, then you need someone. And when I say go to somebody that's been married for some time that has a marriage that you want. Yeah. It's real simple. We figure out who to talk to. Only talk to people who've been married a long enough time that they've got proof for it. And then they'll have a marriage that you actually want to emulate.
Exactly.
Don't emulate marriages that you don't want. Don't emulate your parents if your parents got a messed up relationship. Like, don't do that. Don't emulate the person down the street if they don't. We've been on YouTube for several years now, and I don't know how often I've said it, but I've said, like, we've been married going on 8 years now. If we have not been married enough time for you to feel like that's enough proof to listen to what we're saying, go find somebody who is. There is somebody out there. We listen to people who've been married for decades. There's somebody out there who's been married longer than the next person. Find the person who's been married long enough that you feel like they've got enough proof and go listen to them. That's fine, because every year they're married and successful at it.
We ain't mad. We won't be mad.
That's fine. And we build our proof as we go.
Yeah.
But we learn things and we grow in things. We learn things that we didn't know before. So that's fine. So, get good counsel. And this one, we weren't necessarily looking for counseling, but there's two things that I remember. In our premarital counseling session, this one was actually a counseling session. The pastor who married us, one thing that stuck with me, he said, don't make a move on something until you're both in agreement. He was talking to me like, until your wife is on board, don't make a move. Because he was a pastor. He said he heard it called a pastor before his wife did. And until she didn't hear it and she didn't agree with it, he waited. He did not go into pastoring until she was ready. And that stuck with me. And I was like, okay. That's the culture thing. I'm not going to top out and do something. Another one, we weren't getting counsel, but we were preparing for the wedding and we were putting together decorations. We were over your mom's house, and she just, as we were talking, just dropped this nugget of wisdom that stuck with me. And she said, because your parents are pastors, she was like, when y'all doing stuff and you're involved in the ministry, because we were highly active in the ministry, she said, don't ever put the ministry ahead of your marriage. Yeah. She said, don't make the marriage suffer because you feel like you got to do something. She said, God is not requiring that of you.
He's not.
And I don't know if I'd never heard that before or whatever, but because I was my family was very ministerial minded, you were obviously a pastor's kid, I might have had the mentality to try to do that kind of thing. So hearing that from someone who was wise, who had a successful marriage and was in the ministry, and hearing that nugget, I kept that and I adapted that.
Yeah, because what you don't want to do is drag your spouse into things.
Yes.
You don't want to drag them. I see a lot of couples where one is being dragged. Mm-hmm. They're not in full agreement, but they're trying to be good wifey or they're trying to be great husband, and they're being dragged into scenarios that they really don't want to be in, and they're trying to drum up some kind of faith and excitement about it. And then the spouse that's doing the dragging, they get offended if that spouse don't have the same amount of enthusiasm or desire to be involved, And it's like that spouse doesn't have the vision for it, or they don't have the, for whatever reason, they don't see it.
Yeah.
And you should not beat them over the head because they don't see it. Either you didn't reveal it well enough, or like our counseling was, wait until they hear it. You know, and for whatever reason they're not hearing it, or they're not responding to it, whatever, don't be offended by it.
All right. Well, let's hit the interlude so we can find out what's going on with our son. We'll be right back.
And we're back.
All right, so I think that covers that part of the topic, but yeah, no, I mean, you're talking about couples and being dragged into things. I mean, again, this is where the whole compromise thing comes in, and it's like sometimes people gotta be realistic. You gotta listen to your spouse when they're hurting, when you're going too deep into something, you know, because again,
I really, and maybe this is going a little outside of the topic, but I really truly believe that when you get married and those first couple of years of your relationship, I think you really should try not to do anything major.
Yeah. New business venture,
new this, until you have developed a well-rooted communication between each other, and you really know you're on the same page with one another. Now, you may love one another, you know, because, you know, sometimes that newlywed love, the adrenaline's rushing and you're excited about getting started doing life together, and it's all good. I'm not coming down on that, you know, and everybody's story is different. So this is not a hard, fast rule. I'm gonna put it out there. It's not a hard, fast rule. It's not a law, but it's just a personal assessment that I see. Sometimes we don't spend that first couple of years in a cocoon and getting to really know one another and breaking down some of those barriers and walls and those traditions that we bring into our marriage that may not be good. Because what happens is you start, you know, building all this life together, and then you come to this halt because you find out, oh, she's not really on board, or he's not really on board,
strong, you
or
know?
You know, you assume something about each other that you didn't know because you didn't really ask.
Yeah, I agree with you. Starting major new things, I don't think it's a great idea. I like that. Cocoon is another C.
Yeah.
Cocoon your relationship. But also being willing to put on the chopping block things that you've already got going on.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes people come in with their businesses, things like that. And it's like, okay, are you willing to sacrifice that based on what we create as
for
a
a
joint
season?
vision
It doesn't
over this
mean
marriage?
that it's gone forever.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that.
But God needs to restructure it because you have a new foundation called marriage. When you were single, it was all you and all you and you and you again. But now you have a whole other person. Now you're becoming a whole new entity.
Yep.
And you cannot just build something on toothpicks. You know, it's just, I see that a lot. And I really wish sometimes people would be more comfortable with just backing down what they were doing before, and then growing into, like, you know, it's no secret, I am still a licensed cosmetologist, and I did that for a very, very, very long time. Had my own business since I was 21 years old. I've been running this thing. When we got married, you know, I wasn't ready to step from behind a chair. Y'all already heard the story. He told me to get from behind a chair, and it took me a long time. And I really do believe that we probably struggled longer than we needed to because I was not willing to let go of that. Now, God is gracious and He is merciful. Thank you, God. But maybe we could have progressed sooner if I had just let go sooner, trust God, and let Him grow. Because I had to allow you to cover me And it takes a while to figure that all out.
Yeah.
You know, I had to allow you to see the vision for me as your wife, and how my gifts and talents integrated into the call of God for Jalen and Cacie, not just Cacie, not just Jalen, because I'm no longer just Cacie anymore. I'm Jalen and Cacie. I'm Cacie Barnes, and I didn't allow that because, again, you know, pride. I was fearful, blah blah. That's a whole nother podcast. But once I let go, God began to really work in our finances. He really began to work in our lives, in our marriage, and we begin to grow. And now the Spirit of God is rebirthing those visions, those dreams again in me, but differently, because I just have different energy about it.
Yeah.
But I had to let go. I had to be willing to let it all go and not be afraid that it would be lost in the sauce, you know. And sometimes we can get kind of competitive with each other, feeling like, well, because, for instance, you open your business. It's our business, but, you know, you went and ventured out, open your business, and I'm sitting back thinking, what about my business? I could have been that, you know. I gave my business so you can be top dog now and whatever, and you come home with your fancy stories and stuff, and then people you meeting, and you know, I could have been bitter, you know, but I'm not. I am riding this way with you. Okay, I am living my best wife life, and God has given me a whole lesson on that. Oof, we have totally misunderstood the Proverbs 31.
We'll talk about that next week.
We're talking about I don't know about next week, but we gonna get there.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely a powerful lesson. But, you know, I just wish that sometime, and again, it's not a law. Everybody's different. But just in my observation of couples that we've talked to, I wish people would have just kind of chill for a minute and just kind of just learn each other, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
No, I agree with you. And I think that's the cocoon stage.
Yeah.
That's important. That was important for us. We had to stop a few things. We were starting out. And my final seed to close out that makes all the other seeds work is communion with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And if you don't take that time, that's the foundation of everything. We got married. We said the foundation of our marriage would be the Word of God.
Yeah.
And so when we don't agree on something, when it's hard for us to compromise on something, the Holy Spirit, we pray, we find out what is your will on this, Lord. And it's gotten to the point where it's kind of, we don't have a lot of those stop and let's pray about it sessions for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Because we're so in sync now and we're constantly letting the Holy Spirit guide our movements. That's like, but you know, when you need to do that in the beginning, it's like you need to settle down and hear his voice. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about building a culture. The culture needs to be found in the Word of God. There are some absolute truths of what you should do as husband and wife in marriage. You know, there are some absolute truths of what should be done. We invent a lot of cultural ideas of, well, this person should do this, this person do that. But there are things that says, husband, this is your role. Wife, this is your role. These are things that are in the Word of God. And that needs to be the foundation. And then from there, where the Word doesn't specify, okay, you have to do this particular thing or this particular thing, then y'all build y'all culture and put things into place as what fits for the both of you to get the job done. But you need that counsel of the Holy Spirit, that communion, so that you know how to settle disagreements, settle disputes, but also the foundation that you're starting from to fulfill the vision. Because at the end of the day, the reason you need this culture working and not broken and not a mismatch of things is so that you can fulfill the purpose that God put on you as a couple. Amen. And if that's always the goal, then you have no problem making sacrifices and making changes and making edits to get there.
Exactly.
Yep. Strings said, loving the topic. Unfortunately, mommy duties are calling. God bless everyone. Thank you, Strings, for tuning in. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
We understand mommy duties.
We had to pause the show to go do it, to do parental stuff.
Thank you for tuning in.
But catch the replay if you like. All right. But that pretty much ends the main topic anyway, I think. So
that was good.
Yeah, that was very good. But there's do you want to do the social media things? I have a memory. I don't have a picture of the show, but I can.
I don't remember
which one was. Okay, then we'll skip it. We went on pretty long anyway. We'll skip the final segment of the day, just because we went on.
Is this the fourth live?
Yes, episode 4.
So we're episode 4. Oh, wow, time is moving fast. Yep. Okay. I think we're getting better. Have y'all noticed our new couch? We got a
new setup.
You know, new
Cacie.
setup.
She did a great job on this.
We're getting better with time, things like that. You know, it's been kind of fun. This has been kind of fun. You know, I remember us trying to do lives back in the day, and it was. Remember we did the summer, the whole.
Yep, summer Jalen Cacie. Yep.
That was
rough.
That was rough. That was rough. I'm trying. You do it every night.
Yeah, Monday through Friday for 4 weeks.
Good
We
Lord.
did 20 videos.
What were we thinking?
You were listening to me. It was my idea. Yeah, you was a trooper, babe.
I might have been slightly dragged into that
Yeah.
one. I might have been, but it's all good though. It all worked out for our good. But yeah, this has been fun. I really enjoyed the lives. I think it's really our beat. You know, it really suits
and
us.
we'll get our last segment thing worked out. We just weren't completely prepared. I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Bit, but that's all good. All right. Well, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Again, happy birthday, Cacie.
Thank you, boo.
Birthday. And yeah, I guess we'll see you guys.
Oh, I always put me in. I definitely want to always shout out the Driven by Purpose community.
Yes.
It is growing like wildfire. So if you want to make sure we have the audio on this.
It is working this
okay.
time. I'm looking at it. Yeah.
It's growing like wildfire. We get new members every single day, and I love it. The latest blog went out on Monday, on yesterday. So if you want that, let me know in the comments. If you want the link to sign up, let me know in the comments so that you can sign up with the community, because this community is growing and it's awesome, and God is doing some awesome things, and I'm excited about it. So you should be excited about it. Driven by Purpose. Join today.
You guys. All right, guys. Well, we are going to get on out of here. And maybe we'll go for riding your car for your new Android Auto.
Yeah, y'all don't have no idea how sedity. It don't take much, really. It just take the right thing to make me happy.
Yep. All right, guys. We love you. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. And tune in again next week. Leave a comment. Oh, you can always leave comments about questions you have, and we'll answer them the following week. And we love you guys.
We still don't have a tagline.
To go out?
Yeah.
I mean, do we need you? Can we use the same one from before?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, thank you guys for watching the Jalen and Cacie show, where we teach you how to discover your purpose,
master your relationships, and live the blessed life.
See you guys. Love you.